All right. So, I would say all doped up on drugs. She's on Advil and Tylenol. So the two that haven't played, Andrew and Jess. Well, Jess wins everything, so there's that.
Yeah.
So Andrew, what'd you think? We'll start with you because this was your first play of the game. What'd you think?
So a little overwhelming first time.
Sure, of course, right? Yeah.
It's super simple. Like I read the rules today, I was like, easy to understand the how.
Sure.
The why was difficult.
Especially not seeing that transition from the route building to the set collection.
Right.
The only other game that turns on its head to this degree that I've seen is Asgard from Witcher game. That I don't care how much you explain it until you actually see it. Yeah. It's so different.
And I realized exactly too late what I did wrong to let you get the red cube for yellow instead of for red. I was like, oh, okay. But it's a very cool game. I like it a lot. And it plays quickly. It's easy to learn. It's really good.
Yeah. How about y'all, fellas?
The decisions are really nice and straightforward. The learning it is actually really really nice. At the end of the game we played over the weekend, I said you when you taught it up front, you explained how the cubes would get pulled from the board, and I heard it, but I didn't process it. and seeing it really really helps solidify how to making sure that you lock in the ones that you need. And there's some interesting choices about what colors you don't mind taking your cubes, and what companies you're willing to let other people have in different configurations. It's really interesting. I'm surprised that purple ended up doing as well as it did, considering that it's just sort of in that little zone right there.
Yep. But, agreed.
But it worked out.
Right. So how about you?
I like it. Like you said, the decisions are easy, but then it's hard to figure out what's going to happen in the last round with the cubes until probably the last round. So it's like any rounds 1 through, what do we play, 5?
Yep.
1 through 5, it's like, oh, what's going to happen? And then you see black's going to go, so I knew blue was going to lose that red one, so it kind of throws a whole other dynamic in that last round, and even picking the cubes that you have to think about. So if I could have passed earlier, he bid too many here to go earlier, maybe. I don't know if I ever could have went before black, but with blue and winning that bid for blue.
Yeah, no, nobody was ever going to be able to go ahead of black because they were going to lay one track and then pass. There was nothing that, unless somebody couldn't lay a track. That's the only way that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's really good. Because you cannot, in the whole game, I'm trying first play, so I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen, as we all were, what's going to happen. But you really do not know what's going to happen, because as much as you're guessing, talk about player interaction, you're guessing, oh, this one's going to pull this one, then this one, but you're not in control of that. Someone else is. And I made a mistake in when I pulled, other people, you pull the wrong one, and that changes everything. So, yeah, it's really interesting, and you're just always kind of clawing to where should I lay this? How's it going to end up? What's going to happen in that last round? But it's just ethereal. You can't grab onto that. You don't know what's going to happen.
And it's not just that, but it's, do I build for short-term investment money, or for long-term because I now am invested in that company because I have a share of it?
Right.
And those decisions don't ever stop. Even in that last round, I could have built more to get me more money, but I wanted to make sure that yellow passed early enough to where it would then be able to capitalize, and so it went before red so that I was able to get the cube that's in Boston. And that was the most important
So that's really interesting, because then if you look at our scores, I went for money on the table, but trying to balance that with cubes that were out there, and that worked out for me in the end.
You had exactly $100 more than me, and you ended up winning by
$20.
$20.
So grabbing that,
at least, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing: that was one move. That was this. That was my 20. Coming down here is the 20, and that's where I was like, you know what? I'm invested in green. If I get green in the last round, which I don't think people are going to fight me for, letting it have that orange up there, and then coming down here and seeing if people get red over to this orange seems worth it to me to grab this 20 on the table. So that's that dichotomy where it seems like you should be going for that end game and how many cubes you're going to get, but given that that's so up in the air, grabbing some of the money on the table is still super important.
Yeah, I every single decision you make in this game has impact.
Yep.
You just don't always know what the impact,
Ish.
what the results of
And
that
believe me,
impact
I
is.
regretted that terribly after I did it, and now in hindsight, nope, that wasn't actually the worst move. There were other mistakes I made, but that wasn't the worst one.
So, willingness to play it again or eagerness to play it again is a good question.
I would definitely play it again. Yeah, I don't know how, if it would be sort of thing, because it's sort of, it always kind of starts the same, but I guess you can play, I don't know, I'm wondering how much longevity it has if you play it a bunch of times in a row, but it probably
Well, the
still-
companies can change.
Yeah.
The only thing that scales player count, because it says it plays 3 to 6. Everything I've read, I've only played this at 4 and 5. From what I've heard, that's probably where you want to hang out.
Okay.
But the only thing that scales are the number of investment cubes that each player gets.
Yeah.
Okay, that
That's
makes
it.
sense.
Everything else is the same.
So,
But-
so I'll say that this is a different game from what
Yeah, it
you
was
played over the
definitely-
weekend.
Oh,
And-
agreed.
And in that game, there was like more new players. You were the only one who had played it, so
Right.
that might impact it. But the turn order didn't really change a whole lot in terms like 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
In this game,
In our game before, it was changing a lot because people were bidding a lot. Like people held onto more cubes round to round.
Okay.
And so
I was wondering if people would start doing that more.
And I think that happened more.
The bidding was higher in this game than it was in a previous
We
game, which
also-
is going to change how
We
things
also
go.
started down on that end this game.
Yes.
And we all started on this end this game. So
And-
black,
Yeah, all the companies were basically east of the Mississippi in the previous game, whereas I intentionally started something out there. Well, actually,
They're
I
both
planned
great
on
though.
it.
Like,
like
yeah.
I put blue out there and it did well, but black also went out there and then got stuck.
Yeah, I think
Right.
one company out there works, two probably is too much. There's not enough space for them both to like.
And is there enough
through.
cubes to?
Yeah.
I think it's
And then
speed
once they're
for
in
getting
Chicago,
past
which
this,
is probably
though.
a
Yeah,
good
there's
spot to start in.
There's just not enough. There's not enough money out here. Not enough.
Yeah,
city
the
money.
cities are so,
short-term
but
game.
at the same time, you have a bunch of colors in reasonably close proximity.
Right.
The problem, though, is the cost of these builds because it's so
You need to
long.
get out of that valley really, really quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's just where black got stuck. I think
Right.
you can do it. You just have to
Right. But
get out.
who was
quick.
able to get out
Right,
first, and
yeah.
then that kind of just
Yeah.
sunk.
Well, there was no moment.
And then last time, I think
Yeah.
only one company made it totally to the West Coast.
Yep.
I think it was only one. One might
Yeah.
have made it down here, but
Right.
it was like yellow.
Yes,
I think,
there was
built,
more spread.
Like
Yeah.
all this, and was pretty much free game.
Oh, and it owned the entire West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what ended up, that's how I ended up
That's-
crushing.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's really.
but honestly, the reason I ended up killing people in our first game wasn't because I played exceptionally well. It's because I knew, even though I
What to
explained
go
it,
for.
and I tried to really,
Right.
but yeah.
But you can't know it until
It's
you
re-
see it
you've
happen.
gotta
It's
see
really
it,
hard
yeah.
to tell that last what's going
But
on.
see, that's actually why I'd want to play it again, is to introduce new players to that kind of mechanism, because it's really interesting how that plays out. And just other unique things that they did, where you can have a zero-sum build, where you're paying for it, but if you really want to block another player, you get no benefit. You get no monetary benefit for that. So that's another thing where you're like, do I really, really, really want to block this? Even though I'm going to get no cash. I like that type of development where they've thought of those things and make blocking
And last
expensive.
year says I like the non-combat area control
Right.
mechanism
And that's part of
in
that. That's
yeah.
exactly part of it. It's
Yep.
making it so that combat isn't rewarded. So if you're going to go block, you're going to take a hit. So it makes it a lot less likely. So there's less take that in this game. I mean, I was actually going to be like, Andrew, if you leave this black one, and I take this one from him, and then so there's
You
kind
could
of that.
do that.
You
I mean,
could.
there
I
is
decided
that.
not
It's-
to,
right,
but
yeah.
And it's also-
there's that too.
I also feel like it's a lot of game for we streamed it in what 2 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and including
Right.
the
Oh, yeah.
teach
Yeah.
and 2 new players and talking through every bit. So this is like I said, 75-minute game.
Well, that's the thing. You could
right?
play this much faster. So that's another reason why I would say, 5 players hard to find. That's not, a common player count. You got 5 people. You want to bust this out quickly. Even do like what Joe Rashananand does, like speed play. Let's go. Like just play it as fast as you can. Don't think
Have like
too
a
hard.
10-second clock.
Yeah, no.
Go.
Yeah.
This would be a fun one to play that
would
way,
be
where you're like, no,
chaotic,
don't
but
just
fun.
sit there thinking about at the end because you don't know what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
let's just go and see how this plays
Right.
out.
Just
See what
went to
happens.
that, yeah.
It would actually be fun.
It would, yeah.
Like, just to see how that happens.
So he came in first, and he had he was $50 less than you on the table, and
Yeah.
the rest of us were like at 300,
Yes.
Yeah, I was around
almost
390.
4.
Yeah.
So is it the short term better because you actually can guarantee what you're getting rather than being,
Well, I think what
could
we're
get
seeing
this,
is
I
not
could get this.
necessarily, right? So Shrey
balance.
and I were closest, and we did win, but I'm only 20 ahead of Edward, and he's well behind me, 100
Yeah,
behind me. in
yeah, I'm
cash.
way
So,
behind in cash, but I maximized what
Yeah, he
my
had
company
five.
could
Yeah,
do
Yeah.
here,
He had a
right?
5 plus
Yeah.
a 3, so that's
Yeah.
pretty insane.
So yes
Right.
and no. I mean, I think you have to balance it, but I don't think there's any.
Yeah, I
clear
don't think
winner.
I don't think I think every game is going to
It
be
is.
different.
It's gonna
Some
depend
games
on the
it's
game.
going to be one or the other,
Yes.
or
Mm-hmm.
maybe being able to
you
balance.
can
But
see what's going on with
but
the
let's face it. In all honesty, you're talking about replayability. Our group's a bit of an odd duck because heavy cardboard churn through games. I get that, but if you get a game played 5-10 times, regardless of your group,
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel like most people. That's more than what most people play their games nowadays. I would argue.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think this game has that in it.
I just love the surprise ending. I like games with a surprise ending like that. Like Kinkopolis, same thing. There's that area control that just gets thrown in at the end, and
That's a third one that kind of is a little bit wonky in the way the game
I
changes.
enjoy
No,
that.
Yeah, I do too. And Asgard is a completely weird.
right. And introducing that to somebody though is fun. Like
Yeah.
you tell them, and you're
sure
like, I'm
there
going to
are
remind you again, but then there's that look of shock and awe when they're at the end going, what? Like that's how
Like
that
Shrey
works.
said, you explained it. I heard you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did not.
Mind
Yeah, yeah,
blown.
no, yeah,
And
so-
that's what I said. Yeah, I said that today. I was like, oh wow, ooh,
Yeah.
this is going to be
You're like,
interesting.
okay, tell me the twist. I'm
Yep.
like, when I get there.
So
But
yeah,
back
no,
to
I would
replayability
keep
a little
it.
bit. If you play with the same group all the time, it might get a little bit samey. But I feel like you throw 1 or 2 different people in there.
It
It's
can
gonna change.
completely
That's more my
change it.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the same people sat down and played this over and over again, would it be would there be like a group
I think
thing
it depends.
there?
No, because
Yeah.
see, it depends on who you play with.
Yeah.
I'd throw a wrench in just because we've played it before and I've bid all. So now I'm going to be really stingy and see what happens, and then bid 30 next time because I've saved them. Like it depends on your group, I think. But that is a valid point that maybe you would just play the same strategy. I wouldn't want to. I'd want to like.
No,
mess it
I would
up.
probably want to change something up too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. So that is Steel Driver, Martin Wallace, Tree Frog, and whoever came after Tree Frog.
And you
So
said
there
there's
go.
still some copies out there.
Oh yeah, there are definitely. To the best of my knowledge, the only difference between the first and second edition is you'll see the graphic as you see on your screen. It's John Henry. That's in the first edition, and Big Scary Murder Dude in the second edition. To the best of my
He's
knowledge,
done laying that steel. He's
Yeah.
that's the only difference. I don't know. There is a considerable price difference I'm noticing between the first and second editions on the secondhand market. I saw some second edition for $25. I've seen $100 thereabouts, or 90 plus for the first edition. So I guess those that are big Tree Frog fans, there you go.
They
So-
want that first edition.
there you go. So, but yeah, to the best of my knowledge, it's way out of print, but there's plenty of copies available on the secondhand market. So hopefully this helped. Hopefully you
Yeah.
guys enjoyed it. We're going to be laying low the rest of this weekend. Let this one recoup some more. I have plans at 2 p.m. tomorrow to be recording podcast with Rado for his and my both top 20 Essen. It's going to be top 10 demo only and top 10 expansions coming out at Essen. Some of that's going to be on his channel. Some of it's going to be on the podcast over here. It'll release next week for us. Other than that, 4 big streams next week, including High Frontier 4th edition. No PTZ camera yet, but 4th edition of High Frontier next weekend. And then we're off to Essen for a week. So we'll be offline for a little bit after that. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for the support. Like and subscribe down below. Hit up pledgehc.com to support the show. Other than that, catch y'all. Let's see, when are we coming back? Tuesday, lunchtime stream. Warsaw will be the next stream that you guys see us. So I'm Edward.
Jess?
Andrew.
Trey.
Chris.
Y'all have a wonderful evening. Have a great rest of your weekend. Go Ducks.